Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Welcome back to the final round of the Go-Kart Championship in 2018, and this round comes from Filching Manor. So, as always, or as mostly happens, we start off with a 5-minute qualifying session. So we've got 8 drivers here today. We've got John in the number 1 car, George in the number 2, then Jake, myself, Tom C, my dad, Will, and then Tom L are your 8 drivers. That's 1 through 8 on the kart numbers, and you can see you're on board me right now in the number 4 kart. So we've also got 6 onboard cameras here today. We've got John, George, myself, both Toms, and my dad. So that's 6 onboard cameras here today. And I did have an outboard camera, but it didn't really capture that much, so I decided not to put it in this video. But the onboard cameras captured quite a lot. It was 3 action-packed races after a close qualifying session. So, as you know, the thing about qualifying is just getting your best lap time in. So it doesn't really matter if you're overtaking people or getting overtaken. As long as you put in a good lap time at the end of the session, that's what really matters. So we're already 1 minute into this session now. I put a couple of laps on the board, but of course as the session goes on, they're undoubtedly going to get quicker and quicker and quicker as the tyres get up to temperature, the brakes get up to temperature, and the track gets a little bit more grip. Because unfortunately down in the south of England we do get quite a lot of rain, and that means that a lot of the sort of rubbery surface that builds up the grip is washed away quite frequently. So the track is never that grippy, especially at the start in qualifying in race 1. You're always struggling, there isn't too much grip, and I think we had rain on the day before this, so, or maybe the day before that. It was rainy at some point around the time when we were going karting this time, so there really wasn't much grip out on track, so that's why the lap times weren't maybe as quick as they could have been. So up to the top hairpin, and you can see my dad was getting chased there by George. He just quickly got past him. George, I've got to say, he's maybe not quite up to the consistency level of everyone else just yet, but it's in his first proper season really of go-karting, and he's really improved. And it's great to see, as you saw the little stat in the bottom, his 2 races ran in 2017. If you go and visit the Go-Kart Championship website, you'll see that he's ran a lot more races this year. I think at least 6 or 7 probably he's run this year, so he really has got a lot quicker this year, and he's got a lot more experience on track, so he's done a good job. And yeah, his pace is much improved as well, which is great to see. I mean, he even says himself he's not like his main passion is isn't go-karting, but he's adapted to it really well, and he's got quicker and quicker each time. And I think definitely going to 2019 he's going to be looking to possibly go for a few podiums. So now on board with Tom here, he's trying to get past Jake here, who's in one of his first sessions in a go-kart, and Tom is trying to get past him here, but Jake's sort of off the throttle a little bit here, so he's not really able to squeeze through here. But this is costing Tom a little bit of time here trying to get past Jake. He probably will sweep past on the inside now. Yes, he does. He pulls to the inside. It's a pretty similar run, but Tom does have the inside line on Jake and gets the overtake done. But of course, it's only qualifying, so it doesn't really matter too much here. So up to the top hairpin, Tom takes the proper racing line on the left-hand side of the track, pulls it in to try and grab the apex, and swings around here. Good stuff there from Tom. It's all looking pretty good, and I think actually that's pretty good speed there. I think he might be on for a pretty good lap time as he goes a bit wide, and that might not be the quickest lap in the world, but over the 5 minutes he'll have 10 or 11 laps, and I think most likely he's going to be near the top, Tom, because that's a pretty good pace he's got here today. So that's good from him, because Tom hasn't been go-karting maybe as much as he had done in the past. In the 2014 season, Tom was very much a regular to the championship, then took a couple of years off in 2015 and 2016, didn't really visit the championship too much, but in 2017 started to come a little bit more again, and likewise in 2018, so he's getting back into it, and the speed has always been there with Tom, and we go on board with the other Tom as well, but both Toms have always been quick. But well, I guess the case with Tom L this year as well is that he hasn't visited all the championship rounds, which is really unfortunate for him. A couple of them were unfortunately just sort of scheduled errors basically, so he was away and we'd already scheduled around for the championship, so it kind of worked against us, which is quite unfortunate, as I really wanted a really nice championship battle with Tom like I did in 2017. That was a really good championship battle as well. It was a really close one throughout. I was actually, I think, slower over a season generally. Tom was quicker, he got more victories, but I managed to be a little bit more consistent throughout the whole season. I managed to grab that 2017 championship, but that was extremely close. We were pretty much neck and neck for the whole championship. So I was really happy to clinch that one. 2017 meant a lot to me there as well. But into 2018, I definitely lost a lot of weight towards the end of 2017, and that helped me with my results into that season, the end of that season, and throughout 2018 I'd say I've improved in terms of pace by, on some tracks, up to a second, which is quite incredible. So that's definitely helped me, and the fact that Tom hasn't been to all of the rounds as well has maybe made it seem like there's a bigger difference than there really is. But I think the weight's probably the biggest difference that has really sort of changed my go-karting over the last year and a half. So on board with John, who's now overtaken by my dad, but as we've said already, doesn't really matter on track position here. It doesn't really mean anything as long as you get the one quick lap time by the end of the session, but of course you want to be consistent throughout the whole session. So, you know, John's got overtaken there. Oh, a little bit of a snap there as we go up to the start-finish line to take the checkered flag there. John won't be too happy with that final lap there, but I think he got some pretty decent laps on board there. So let's see what the qualifying results are after a pretty frantic 5 minutes. This is what the qualifying results were. I finish at the top on a 29.1. So not the quickest lap times in the world. And then Will was a few tenths of a second back on a 29.7. And then it's Tom C, my dad, Tom L, John, George and Jake. And you can see the front 7 separated, what, just over 2.5 seconds. Not too bad. I mean, of course, Jake was always going to be a bit slower, and he's obviously going to get quicker as each race goes on. But I'd say pretty good that the whole field's that close, and there's quite a big gap between myself on pole and second place Will. I mean, I was really happy with my lap, but I was thinking this is going to be a tough race because Will always gets better starts than me. He's still lighter than me, so it's tough off the start line. And we look to the lights, and away we go here for the first race of 3 today at Filching Manor. And not the greatest start in the world here. You can see me looking down at the car. I'm like, come on, come on, come on. But there's nothing you can really do here as we go down to the first corner. We brake basically at the same point through the first corner, but I'm through. If we go back to my dad, further down the field, and he's been overtaken by Tom L and John, so he's not at the greatest start in the world. And the big thing about this round is that John, if he can score enough points ahead of my dad, he's on course for second place in the championship, John. So he's going to be really, really, surging towards a good result here today. I think he needs to get maybe a couple of fourth places. If he can just consistently beat my dad, that would really help him out for second place in the championship here. And both him and my dad have visited every round, so this would mean quite a lot. John gets a bit sideways though. That doesn't help him out, and they both lost quite a bit of time through that. I think my dad is inherently quicker. If we look at the qualifying results, my dad was 4 tenths a second quicker than John, so I think he knows he's quicker. But this whole battle, you can see the shake of the head there from John as my dad pulls alongside there to get the position, and John's dropped down to P6 there. So on board with Tom here. He's in third place right now. He's had a good start. His pace was not that far off Will's in qualifying. He was only a tenth of a second behind Will in qualifying. So a really good qualifying run there from Tom. So he's putting the pressure on here. There's only, I think it was only a couple of tenths of a second between Will in second and then Tom in third. So back on board here, further down the field. This is back on board with John, and he's trying to close down my dad here, but unfortunately it's just not really happening here. And back on board with Tom as well. He's having to make Will start defending here, and I've got a bit of a gap here. I'm still defending in the lead this race. You can see me in the white suit and the white helmet, but thankfully I have pulled out an advantage, and Will's having to defend, meaning he's losing time. I think it's really good to see that Tom was really doing well, and there's a yellow flag out on track as we go on board with my dad. What's happening here? Someone in the barriers, I think it is. I think it's Jake. That's unfortunate for him. His first kart race in quite a long time, actually. I think nearly a year. And it's unfortunate that he's had a mistake early on. He didn't really have many mistakes in quali. And there's a yellow flag out there, so I'm going to respect that. Going down to about half speed. Now on board with my dad. He's putting the pressure on Tom here. Backs off. There we go. They're both backing off now down to about half speed. As the yellow flag is waved. Tom goes on the accelerator quite a bit there as we go around the penultimate proper corner here and up to the start-finish line. Now back on board with Tom here. This is after the yellow flag. Oh no, sorry, the yellow flag's still out. I think the yellow flag might be still out. We'll see as we go through the top hairpin here. I've started to take my more natural line to the corner, which is helping me out, and Will isn't defending as much anymore. The yellow flag is still out here. Let's see. The yellow flag's still out as we go back on board with John. Yellow flag. I think that's been put away now. So John needs to get on the accelerator and go for it. So now I'm coming to lap Jake, and he just leaves a gap. Thankfully there. I don't know whether something happened there in the accident. I think he was pointing to one of the marshals there about what was happening. So hopefully everything's alright there with Jake. A bit of an unfortunate start to this race for him. So up to the top hairpin. My dad is quite quickly catching up to the back of Tom here. Tom L, I should say, in 4th place. Tom C is currently sitting in 3rd place. He's having a good result. So now my dad and Tom both coming to lap. Jake, they're going to both go on the outside. Yes, they are. Good stuff. Right, let's see down the straight here. Can my dad catch up? As we go back on board with Tom here. Only 3 minutes of this race remaining here, so that's probably going to be 6 or 7 laps. Up to the top hairpin. Tom's sort of going half defensive, half not. As we go through the top hairpin. Hits the apex. Good stuff. Good stuff once again. He hasn't actually... I don't think he went karting for quite a long time. He missed a couple of rounds in a row, which I definitely don't think helped him in terms of his pace here today. It definitely made a bit of a disadvantage. So up to the top here, we see one of the marshals putting one of the tyres back into the right part of the track there. Nearly hit it. That'd be quite embarrassing. As soon as he put it out, I'd go and hit it again. That wouldn't be too good. So 2.5 minutes of this race remaining. I'd say probably 5 laps to go if we go across the line. It's normally just under half a minute for a lap, so it's probably 5 laps to go. We'll see. So back on board with my dad now. He's trying to get past Jake, and unfortunately he's losing time here. Tom has already got past. My dad is losing quite a lot of time here trying to get past the slower Jake. I feel like he came through the pits, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to try and see whether my dad can get past it, but unfortunately he's lost a lot of time. Maybe get him on the brakes, we'll see. He's definitely later on the brakes, but Jake's not doing too shabby at all, but he's not taking the best line through that top hairpin, and that means he's gone through. Now John, he's really caught up throughout this. My dad getting stuck up behind Jake's not helped out him too much, but it's really helped out John. This is what John needs for the championship. He wants to try and secure P2, and yes, they're not running for P2 in this race, but I still think that they're going to want to beat each other to try and get that position overall in the championship. So now as we go around the last proper corner here, as George goes wide, that means I've put a lap on him there. And yeah, not that long in this race to go now. It's going to be a really interesting last couple of laps here. Can I hold on for a victory in my time in this go-kart championship? I haven't really been able to beat Will on the road that often, so this would be a big personal victory for me if I can make this happen here. And Tom is trying his best to close up to the back of Will, but it's just not really going to happen, unfortunately, at this stage. It's a little bit too late on in the race, and he's a little bit too far behind. So, just coming up to the lap, Jake, once again, okay, it hasn't been the greatest first race for him in a long time, but I think I'll be happy just to get on, on the board, get a few lap times in, and he's actually gone quicker. That's one good thing we can say. Jake's gone over a second quicker in this session, which is fantastic for him. Back on board with John here, just under a minute remaining now. He's slightly lost contact with my dad here for the, what was that, fifth position, I should say, 5th position, because it's the 2 Toms in 3rd and 4th, as we can see we're on board with Tom here. He's really pushing, but he's not going to be able to quite get this here. So up to the start finish line. This is now the last lap. You can see it flicked over to last lap as I hit the last lap board. So up to the top hairpin. Who have we got here? So I think there's George, and I think this is Jake. This is Jake, as I think Will's in that battle as well here. So Will might be getting slightly held up here, but on board with me. Let's go in the last corner. Up to the start finish line. I'm going to secure a victory in race number 1 here, securing 13 laps on the board here. I was really happy with that. A really good race from me. I was really happy with that one. It meant a lot actually to go from pole position. I felt like I had the pace. I saw I had the pace in qualifying, but to really just put that into perspective and get the good result really meant a lot here. So there we are. My dad's going to cross the line. He's going to pick up 5th position there. Tom ahead's got 4th, and then on board with George, he's going to be securing some points as well. He's going to come home in P7. So overall, pretty good race from everyone there. So I managed to win that one. I was 6 seconds ahead of Will, Tom C was in 3rd place. He was 10 seconds behind. Tom L was 18 seconds behind. My dad was 20 seconds behind. John was 23 seconds behind. George was 1 lap down. And Jake ended up on 9 laps, so he was 4 laps behind. So he won't be too disappointed with that, Jake. I mean, he had the accident. He had to come to the pits. So I think he'll take it. He knows it probably wasn't the best race in the world from him, but you know, he was, I think, over a second. It was over a second quicker than his qualifying time. So here we are, race 2. It starts from the same order as that last race. So it's myself, Will, and on the front row. So the lights are on, away we go. Couldn't even get my sentence out here, but this was not such a good start for me here. I didn't have quite as good reactions. You can see Will is looking, he's ready to come over, and there we are, he's finally gone past, and he's on board with Tom here as he's side by side with me. He had a great start there, Tom, of course starting in 3rd place here. He is going to be looking for a good result here today. He knows he's quick enough from that first race that if he's just consistent throughout the whole race, Tom C here definitely could be in a chance for a victory. On board with Tom L now, he's putting the pressure on Tom C. It's quite close between these two, but Tom C gets a much better run out of the corner, and George made a slight mistake. Unfortunately, that's put him down the field a little bit, and I think he's actually gone to last place here. He's just behind Jake. So really interesting start to this one here. So let's see whether this is going to continue here, because that was a pretty mad start to this race here. And you can see both the Toms quite close out on track here. I'm trying to close down Will in the lead of this one, so I'm really just, I know I've got the pace, but at the same time, it's so hard to overtake Will. He's such a good driver, and he's especially good at defending as well. So I think that was my dad looking down the inside of Tom here, but he's not going to quite get past. Tom gets a slightly better run up the hill. Going on board with my dad now, up to the top hairpin. Is he going to look to get past on the brakes? Tom defends the inside line pretty well, meaning that there's not really a chance to overtake here. And that's got a good run through here, but once again, not really a place that you can go for an overtake, unfortunately. So as we go down to the last sort of sequence of corners, Tom makes a slight mistake, goes a bit wide, and it's side by side once again between them. Has my dad got the run down the inside? I think he might do. And on board with Tom now, up to the top hairpin. He's really closing in on me. I haven't managed to get past Will yet, and he's really close. This is really, really intense here, because I'm trying to put the pressure on Will, and in doing so, Tom is right behind me here. So this is a really, really exciting battle for the lead here. 3 drivers within the space of, well, it must be like 1.5 seconds right now. So I'm trying to sort of understand where Will's quick and where I'm quick, and I knew that I was much better run, you know, at the final corner I had a much better run than him, so I had to defend, well, he had to defend. That meant I had to sort of try and find a way past here, but oh, Tom has made a mistake, and that's going to have lost him some time here. So who's that? Tom C, John and my dad all go through there, so that's 3 positions lost there from Tom. He was sitting comfortably in P3, and unfortunately he's made a mistake there. I think he might have touched the grass with one of his rear tyres. I think the rear left tyre could have just touched the grass, and that sent him into a spin. So back on board myself here. Can I get past? Once again, trying to put Will in the defensive position so he has the slow run through the corner, but at the same time I'm not really trying to get past him, and I don't even know there was a bit of contact there. I thought at the time there was a bit of contact, but I slowed it down and it looked very, very minimal if there was any at all. Will just made a mistake there, and I was trying to get past it. So on board with my dad, he's trying to put the pressure on Tom here. Tom L this is for a podium position right now, so this would mean a lot considering my dad was quick in qualifying. I think he probably could have gone a bit quicker in qualifying. As he looks to the inside, it doesn't quite work out there, but my dad was a 30.5 in quali, but I think he probably could have gone a couple of attempts quicker. He might not have really been able to challenge Tom C, who qualified 3rd on the grid, but I think he could have been a couple of tenths ahead of Tom, who is now chasing. It's confusing, I know. So on board with Tom C now. He's on his fight back. He's had a really good couple of laps after his spin, and he knows these shorter races mean that he needs to get on with it and make these overtakes done. So right now it's quite an interesting battle. There's a really close battle for the lead of this one, which I'm not showing you because the battles down the back of the field are just as exciting. And John, he should have left Tom a bit of space. I'm not going to lie, he completely cut him up there. It wasn't the greatest. And now we're going to a yellow flag zone. I don't see it until the last second. I let Will back through. I was, yeah, I don't know really what happened there. I didn't, obviously, you're sort of focusing on the corner, and then, oh, you see the yellow flag. So I let Will back through, even though I probably would have got the corner because I was on the inside, getting the lap traffic right at the right time for me. But we're focused on this main battle now, up to the top hairpin. We're coming to lap George, I think this is, and finally Tom gets down the inside of John. John, as we've said, was a bit aggressive on the previous lap, but now Tom has well and truly got past there, and he's up into 5th position. So he's got the battle for 3rd position just in front. So it's Tom L, my dad, Tom C and John. They're all separated by only a couple of tenths of a second as Tom goes quite wide into this one. My dad gets a slow run out of the corner, however. I think he got a little bit sideways, and Tom has got an incredible run round the outside and up into P4. That's a great manoeuvre with 2 minutes to go. Is he going to reclaim P3? That's an incredible run up the straight. Whilst everyone else was slightly bottled up behind Jake, Tom C had an incredible run out of the corner. Now back on board with Tom L. He's probably feeling quite a lot of pressure right now. He's normally battling for the victories, and rightly so, but unfortunately today his kart wasn't really with him, and unfortunately he was a little bit slower than usual. But unfortunately at Filching Manor, I love the track and everything. The guys that run it are absolutely fantastic, but the difference between the go-karts is quite big sometimes, and unfortunately that can somewhat change the racing a little bit. So on board with this onboard battle for the lead of this one. This is really exciting with 1.5 minutes to go. It's really hotting up here for the lead of this race. Am I going to overtake and look one way then the next? Will's left a gap down the inside. This time I've got enough of a run, and I'm through up into the lead of this one. But how long is this going to last? Up to the top hairpin. I've got the inside line. I don't fully defend it through the corner. Not the greatest run through that corner, of course, because I am defending. Now back on board with Tom C. He's looking at the inside of Tom L, and he's got the manoeuvre done. He's in to 3rd. Is he? Or no, he isn't, because Tom L comes straight back at him to go down the inside. And is he going to get him on the brakes? Yes, he is. Slightly later on the brakes. Tom L gets past Tom C in a great late braking manoeuvre. So that was slightly delayed because we're now on board with John. And you can see once again they're really close. Once again Tom C is trying to get past Tom L up to the top hairpin. Is he going to get past them? He's looking one way then the next, defending like crazy, and he can't quite get past them. This is really close stuff now. Only half a minute remaining. This could be going to the last lap of the race. I think it will be. Yes, it is. Last lap of this race. Board is out. Now I'm on board myself here. This was an intense race. I was following Will for the majority of this race. Now, with a couple of laps to go, I've got into the position to be leading. So I've just got to try and make sure this last lap is consistent. And if it is consistent, I will be taking home another victory. Let's see whether I do it. Up to the sort of last proper corner. Don't get the greatest run through that corner. I was a little bit worried once I had a bit of a slide there. But up to the start-finish line to take the second win of the day. That one was much tougher than the first. I was really happy with that one. Now on board with John. He's coming to lap George. George has got a bit sideways and run wide. And a really close battle in front. But unfortunately for Tom... Oh, George comes past there right at the end. But yeah, unfortunately for Tom C, he didn't manage to get past Tom L. But great for Tom L. He got the podium. I think he deserved one today. Even though the kart wasn't really underneath him today, he managed to get that podium in P3. So here is the final result. I won by 0.9 seconds. Tom L was 11 seconds back in 3rd. Tom C was just behind, 12 seconds back. 12.5 seconds back was my dad. John was a little bit further back, 14 behind. And then we had George 1 lap back and Jake a couple of laps back as well. Jake's also improving once again. He's got his lap time down by over a second once again. So on board here with Tom C, as he's looking for the lights, because this is going to be a really exciting final race of the day. So this is a reverse grid, so that means Jake starts on pole, George in 2nd and John in 3rd. Unfortunately for John, any sort of hope of 2nd place in the championship is really over now, so this last race is just going to be a little bit of fun. So up to the first corner, George has had a fantastic start. So has Tom, to be fair. He's come all the way from, what, 4th on the grid, 5th place on the grid, and as we go through the first couple of corners, it's all going off. As on board myself, oh, Tom gets slightly contact on the inside, and well, it's all going off here. So a really big lead right all now. George is leading this race as we're on board with John, as he slams on the brakes and goes off the track. What's going on there with John and George? Just spun off at the same time, and this is an incredible side-by-side battle now for the lead of this one between Will, who started in 7th, and Tom, who started in 5th, and I'm trying to get the battle as well. So we've sort of top 3 have got back into the top 3 of this one after 1 lap on the brakes. Top hairpin, side by side. I managed to get past, do I? No, because Tom goes back down the inside. And fantastic start to this one as Tom sees all over the place here, unfortunately. I think there was a little bit of contact. I think Tom L slightly ran into the back of him here. So on board with Tom L, as I think it was just all, everyone was jockeying around. There was not really any space, and unfortunately a little bit of contact was made, and Tom C got a little bit sideways back there at the top hairpin. But back on board with Tom L, you can see the cart just isn't underneath him today, unfortunately. He's quite slow in a straight line. And on board my dad, he tries to do it down the inside. He can't quite make it stick, and I think Tom L's made contact with the tyre wall on the outside here. This has been an action-packed first couple of laps of this race here, and Will currently leads. I'm in second, Tom's in second, and I'm in third. But is that about to change? Yes, it is. As Tom goes wide into the last corner, I managed to get the overtake done down the inside and into the lead of this one. So up to the top hairpin now. Is Tom going to make a resurgence back down the inside? You can see he's definitely quick enough, but he did tell me after, I think, race 1 or race 2, he wasn't very confident on the brakes on the inside. So I kept that in my brain, and I was like, well, he's not going to go for an overtake down the inside of me here, so I'm just going to keep it on the outside and just let him stay there. So that's what I did, and unfortunately for Tom, he didn't manage to go past. But let's focus now on John and see what's happening to him. So you remember right at the start of this race, going to that corner, he just went through there. He spun on the first lap. He went through the cones, and unfortunately for him, he lost a lot of time. So he's managed to get his way back past Jake, and now he's trying to break through the field once again. And he's trying to catch up to George here. So him and George actually had a really good battle throughout this race here. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen between these two in this final race of the day. So on board with my dad as well. He's really putting the pressure on Tom here. He's looking to the inside. They're side by side. How incredibly close is this going to be? Up to the top hairpin. Who's going to have the place? So Tom's ended up being a bit quicker at the end of the straight here, but I think that's more down to his weight. I don't think that's really down to his car. On the brakes, my dad does manage to get through, so good stuff from him. Very calm and confident overtake to get down the inside and keep it on the brakes and stay through the corner. Now on board with Tom, he's trying to put the pressure on. He's looking to the outside of my dad. That's a fantastic move down the inside there, but then he's going to slide slightly wide on the exit. Is my dad going to be able to go down the inside? Yes, he is once again. An incredible battle between these two. This is all battling over P4 right now, because up the road we've got myself, Tom and Will in the first 3 positions, and my dad manages to just about keep this position for now, but we'll have to come back into this later, because that's a really exciting battle between those two. So Will is absolutely desperate now to try and take the victory here today, because unfortunately for him, he's not really had the pace this whole race weekend, and I'm really putting the pressure on him once again. And you can see around the outside, trying to just stomp on the brakes a little bit later, but it's not really worked out here one way or the next. You can see I'm just trying to line it up so that he's constantly trying to have to defend, and by him doing so, it's slowing him up, and it's enabling me to take better lines through the corners. And the idea is at some point that he'll make enough of a mistake or be slow enough through a certain corner that I can go for the overtake. So back on board with Tom here. He's not letting my dad get away here. I think my dad probably does have the inherent speed over Tom this race weekend to go past him, but it's just not really working out so far. And George has got a little bit sideways, and it's a close battle now between these two. So George versus John. Let's see what happens here. So up to the top hairpin, these two had a really good battle, as I said earlier on in this race. You can see George he's got the pace in the straight line. Let's just see that. But around the corners, I say John is much quicker. So now we're coming to lap Jake here once again, but Jake is much quicker. He's really upped his pace here. You can see in the straight, he's not really losing much time at all, but on the brakes, he's probably half a second too early on the brakes. And on board with John, he managed to get round the inside or the outside of George, and now it's side by side once again as George dives down the inside. Now back on board with Tom C. He's managing to lap Jake as well now. He's got the overtake done and he's through. So with 3 minutes to go, a really exciting race is unfolding here. So 3 incredible battles, myself and Will, my dad versus Tom L, and also George versus John. Some really exciting battles there for first, 4th and 6th respectively. So back on board with John. He's trying to get this 6th place from George, and he's sort of in the dummy there, and George has gone a bit wide, and George has lost the position to John there. Now back on board my dad. He's having to defend quite aggressively from Tom L, who's really putting the pressure on here. So let's see. I'm putting the pressure on as well, trying to go on the outside. I've got a better run out of this last corner. Am I going to be able to make this one stick? I mean, the outside line doesn't really lead to anything. That's the unfortunate thing. Of course, you can just defend the inside line. It normally works. Up to the top hairpin. I'm going to try and brave it out on the outside. I've got enough of an overlap that I go down the inside. I don't completely close the door because that would be unfair on Will because he had his Kart there. And I've done that in the past and it's ended up me spinning and crashing out the race. So let's not have that happen again. So I'm down and past Will with a couple of laps to go. No, I'm not, because he gets the run past me down the inside. And with just under 2 minutes to go, he's managed to take the lead, or has he? Because halfway down the straight, it all sort of equals out. And on the brakes, who's going to take this one? I'm just about calm enough on the brakes to slot it through to take the lead of this race now. With just over a minute and a half to go. Can I hold this on for a triple? This would be the most points scored in a race weekend if this happens. So on board with Tom L now. He's still putting the pressure on my dad here for this elusive P4 position in this race. It's been a great battle between those two, and it's going to be exciting to see who can take this one. P4 would be pretty impressive for my dad, especially against the opposition that's out there today. And Tom C been on the crazy run of performance he's had today as well. That's really good to see. He's really picked up the pace, and he's looking, of course, for another podium here today. So fantastic stuff from him. It's up to the top hairpin. Once again, my dad's just defending enough that he can't get past here, Tom. So he's struggling to get past. But I think we're going to the last lap in a minute. There we are, that's the last lap board out. Is Tom C going to be able to take this one? Am I going to be able to take the third win of 3 here today? It's going to be a close finale. It's going to be a very close finale here. So, on board here with John. He's trying to put the pressure on George to try and catch him up. But I think he's probably got this one as we go on board with myself here. Up to the start-finish line. I'm going to take 3 out of 3 in the Filching Manor final round of the season. I was absolutely ecstatic with that. A fantastic end to the season for me. I really couldn't believe it. On board with John once again. As Will came across the line in P2. Tom C managed to come across the line in P3. It was a close battle, but my dad just managed to hold on to P4 ahead of Tom L. And this is John coming around the last couple of corners here after a tough race where he had a spin. So then come across the line in P6. I think he'd be happy with that. And yeah, good stuff from there from John. And 7th place was George. He, I think, just ended up getting lapped, and last place was Jake, but his lap time was much more respectable now. So there we are. There's the final race of the season done. So I'll read out the final result and who had the fastest lap times overall. So I managed to get the victory over Will. 3rd place was Tom C, as we said. 4th place was my dad. 5th place was Tom L. Then it was John. Then it was George. And then it was Jake. So in terms of fastest laps, my fastest lap was a 28.961. Will's was a 29.254. And then in 3rd it was Tom C. He had a 29.5, so pretty close to those top 3. Then there was a bit of a gap back there. My dad's best lap time was a 30.1, but that was quicker than at Tom L's, who was a 30.436. Then John's was a best of a 30.642. And then it was George. Yeah, it was George on a 30.887. So a really close battle there. Everyone was, or the top 7 were separated by less than 2 seconds by the end of that in terms of fastest overall laps. So that's really good to see. Yes, Jake was a little bit further behind, but that was to be expected. He was on a 32.667. So overall, a really interesting season, one I thoroughly enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed watching on this channel. I love making these videos. They are very time consuming, but I do really enjoy them. And here are the final standings overall. So the top 3 in the championship all managed to attend every race. Tom L had to miss 3 rounds, unfortunately, so that lost him out quite a lot of points. I think he probably, no, not sounding big-headed at all, he probably would have finished 2nd place in the championship behind me if he had attended every round. As you can see, I didn't really win I don't think I won a single race. I won the last round at Brooklands when Tom L wasn't there, but I didn't win a single race where Tom L wasn't there. I won Filching. Okay, I won 2 of the 9 races that Tom didn't attend. So, you know, we'll see. I don't know. I wasn't on fine form, so maybe he could have took the victories there on those days. But I did manage to get a lot of victories here today. I managed to beat Tom on quite a few occasions, and I was happy. That final triple really helped me out in the championship as well. I mean, I ended up with a 100-point lead over my dad. I don't think that really accurately represents the overall standings, but there we are. I definitely think that my dad and John, especially, they're a little bit closer than that over the season. And the battle between my dad and John was only separated by 11 points in the end there. You can see John's slight downfall in results. I mean, they were his actually worst results of the season there, right at the end of the season. He says he's not a massive fan at Filching. You can see from his results, to be fair to him, he's only had 1 podium at Filching this year, and the rest of his podiums, the majority of them came at Brooklands, but he also got a podium at Lydd as well, or 2 podiums at Lydd. He should have got one at Bayford. He definitely should have got at least one at Bayford. He was on fire that day. He should have at least got a 3rd in that one, but I think a 2nd as well. So you can see the rest of the results there. Really exciting to see that a lot of people managed to get victories. I managed to win a race, so did my dad, so did John, so did Tom L, so did Tom C, so did Will, and Will's dad also got podiums as well. So quite a lot of spread out results, but I think it definitely shows at the end of the season I managed to get the most amount of victories, and I think that's down to my weight loss that really helped me out with that. So overall, thank you to everyone that attended. So the overall standings were myself, then my dad, then John, then Tom L, then Tom C were your top 5. Will finished 6th, George was 7th, Will's dad finished 8th, then James, Connor, Phil, Jake, Paul and James were your top results. Although everyone that finished results over the season. So that's pretty much it. Please be sure to tune in a couple of weeks' time for the Winter Championship, which will be 6 races held at the Brooklands circuit down on the Sussex coast. I'm really looking forward to uploading that one to the channel. That was a really interesting turn of events. Hopefully you're going to enjoy that. So that's going to come up on the channel soon. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting the championship. I know these don't get massive views, but I really just enjoy making these videos, and I appreciate everyone that does support them. So thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys all around soon. It's been Axe, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.